Alright, so we're going to be checking out OMV7 or Open Media Vault 7. Now, it did release sometime in March and I've been meaning to check it out, but I got a little bit busy, so here we are. So we are going to be checking this out on a Zima Blade, which does have a weaker CPU, which is perfect for this type of environment like OMV7. So I do have 8 gigs of RAM on this and 2 hard drives installed, and I am going to be installing this on the eMMC. So first thing I'm going to do is jump into the BIOS and select my boot media. So I'm going to be installing this from the ISO that I downloaded off the OMV website. So here we go. Alright, so here we go. I'm just going to go through install. It seems like a pretty standard text-based installer, not a GUI or anything. So I'm just going to go through this real quick and nix through the options. Alright, here we go. Instead of calling Open Media Vault for the host name, I'm just going to change it to OMV7 just to shortcut it. And the domain name, I'm going to change to LAN. I prefer that over local, so it's like omv7.lan instead of .com. And the root password, yeah, let's make one up just in case I do need root. Eastern, more than one storage device has been detected, continue. All right, since I said I was gonna install this on the eMMC, I do have two 2 terabyte hard drives, and I'm just gonna choose the MMC. It's 31 gigabytes or 32 gigabytes, which is more than enough space to run OMV7. Again, I've only ever installed this on like a Raspberry Pi or SBC. So installing this as ISO on a desktop that's x86 is a little bit different than what I'm used to, but it does have a full ISO installer, which I actually don't mind. With a fresh reboot, it actually gives me my IP address that I need to enter, and this is still the console. So I'm gonna actually go over to 192.204 and see what's going on over here. Alright, so here's the web GUI, and the first time you ever log into this, you do need to use admin, and the password is Open Media Vault. So I'm going to leave that as default, and I'm going to save this for now. Alright, just by first appearance, it looks similar to 6.0 or Open Media Vault 6, and I can add some dashboard settings. So I'm going to go over here and go to CPU utilization, file system, load average, memory, network interface, uptime, and system information. Let's do that. So it does populate with information. There's not much on the CPU, I guess, because we just booted it up. Uptime is a minute. So let's move down this list. Is there a dark mode? Let's see. Dark mode? It's not. I actually prefer it to be light mode instead of dark, but yeah, it does have a dark mode. I'm going to go down system. We do have workbench, daytime, notifications. Let's see in the notifications, we do have SMTP server. So there isn't anything for like a Discord or anything that you could send. Power management, we have scheduled task, monitoring, certificates for SSL, update management. This is probably for apt-get and stuff like that. So we are behind by 66 packages, which we could update a little bit later. And then we got plugins. Now, if you take a look at the scroll bar on the right side, the plugins are actually not a lot. I believe default it comes with about, let's see, 22 in total. So that's not a lot. My only big thing about this is that it doesn't come with Docker default, and you are kind of like forced into using Kubernetes. And I mean, for something this lightweight, I rather prefer using just straight up Docker. It's just so much easier, but it's not available in this option. Now, moving down, we got our networks, which is pretty much the same. We can see our general host name that we configured earlier, interfaces because we only got one Ethernet port, proxy if we have, and then we got firewall settings. Storage, this is where we are going to set up our storage, and let's do that now. So I'm going to go into disk and erase these just to make sure it's empty. We're going to do a quick erase. Okay, we still get this pop-up. That was pretty good. Same thing with this one. We're going to wipe this. Confirm, yes. Quick erase. Okay. And then we are going to go down to file system. So I have to create a brand new, mountain existent, create a new one. Let's do a better FS. So we're going to do a RAID 0. And we're going to slap 2 hard drives on RAID 0, which is not recommended. You should probably use like 3 or 4 hard drives and do a RAID 5 or something, because we have no redundancy using RAID 0, but I'm just testing it out for now. So I'm going to hit save. Now we're going to create the file system, and wow, that was pretty quick. Okay, so we got 1.82 terabytes added together. So we got like about 4 terabytes total. And file system select. Now it's this. I'm not going to tag it. 85% warning threshold. save. That's it. Oh, it still has this. This is what annoys me about, if I apply a setting, I need to double apply it all the time for Open Media Vault, which is not, I'm not a huge fan of this. So anyway, let's hit yes. We're going to continue on that. And it's always when you apply the second time with this white banner, it takes forever. But yeah, now it resets everything and I guess configures what we need to configure. And every time when we do something, it always has this pending configuration change. I understand if it's something network related where you don't want to lose the IP address, but for anything hard drive shares and stuff like that, you could just apply it as you're applying it the first time. This just constantly makes you apply a couple of times. All right, so the file system is all set. Let's set up a share folder, which we don't have. And we are going to call this data store. And we are going to create this administrator read write. Let's change that for everyone. Save. It's going to make me apply it again, even though I already have it. Oh, there you go. See? Apply. Yes. Like, why? Okay. Now, moving down services, we have NFS, rsync, and Samba. So if we want to share our files, we could use Samba. And since we created a share, let's add this. Enable, share. We're going to use data store, browsable, etc., etc. Actually, let's do public, guest allowed. And we enable recycling bin, save, and it's going to make me apply it again. See the annoyance of this right there. Yes. And it's not even collective. Like I can't do 3 things here and then hit apply once. I have to apply each time. All right, now that that is done, we should be able to access the data, which I don't really care for right now, but we are going to go down the list. So we have users. You could set up your users, make home directory. Nope. Users, we don't have any. The only one we have is admin and Open Media Vault. And then we have groups, which we didn't set up anyway. Diagnostics, we have your information, syslogs. So if we want to pull down any type of logs like kernel or message, we can see that all running. So that's good. Processes, services, reports, and then performance statistics. So if we wanted to look for anything like, I guess CPU, we could get the detailed statistics of this. Instead of having it on a dashboard, I'll see now it's showing up. All right, so here's the biggest thing. Right now we have plugins and we have 22 things. So you can't really install much with what we have here. And this is like their app store, which actually installs in the background. It's not running Docker or anything. It's just running the actual installer like apt-get and everything to install stuff. Open Media Vault has a thing called OMV Extras, which I am going to look that up. OMV Extras. And here we go. Installation of OMV Extras, which will give you the newer kernel and even more plugins. And this is how you would install it. Now, if you have the older version, you would actually download the deb and install it. But now you just have to do this wget. So I'm going to grab this and copy that, Control C. Because I can't just use the admin account in the shell, you could SSH into it if you want. But what I'm going to do is actually create a new user. And I am going to call this Don. Password is whatever. And then the groups I'm going to create is SSH, admin, backup, cron tab, daemons, dial out. The main thing what you want here is sudo. So root and sudo. Those are the ones we need to install the system. We're going to hit save. It's going to create that new user. And again, pending changes. Every little thing I have to like apply twice. And then now I could go into my shell and log in with Don and the password that I had. And now I'm logged into a shell. And I could do sudo apt update just to make sure sudo is working. And it is. And what we need to do is just grab that and basically type it into here. But in our case, we need to run this in sudo, so I'm going to do sudo bash. And there we go. It's going to run this for like a few minutes to install all the stuff that we need, update the system, and I also installed the newer kernel and the plugins. All right, here we go. Now that it's installed, it only took like a minute or two. It does say press Ctrl-Shift-R in the browser after signing into the OMV interface. So I'm in the OMV interface. I'm going to sign in now. Ctrl-Shift-R. Let that reload, and then once I head into system, you should see OMV Extras. There you go. So I'm going to enable the Docker repo, hit save. I can head into plugins, And if you can see, the scroll bar is a lot smaller, and if I go down to the bottom, they have 57 total, so I added like 30 more extra repos. So you have a bunch of stuff in here now. Not as much as I want, but one of the things we are looking at, see look, it even has WireGuard now. One of the things we are looking at is Compose. And we have Open Media Vault Compose here. Click on that. Let's download and install that. This itself will give us the ability to install anything we want that's Docker Compose related. So, it gives you a pretty easy, straightforward web GUI to navigate around this. So I do prefer adding this if you are going to be using Open Media Vault. Unless you are using Open Media Vault just as a NAS or a Samba server, then you don't need it. Otherwise, there you go. I'm going to do that. Otherwise, I would definitely install Compose. Now to access that, you just go to Service, and now we have this new tab called Compose. And now we have all the stuff that we need. So let's install something easy. So let's do a quick little Flame dashboard. And we are going to pull the Compose file right over here. And one of the things about it is that you got to worry about this. So the first thing you need to do is go into Settings, go into Share Folders. You can use the data store, but the data itself cannot be in the same location as your, it's got to be different locations. So you can't use this. It's got to be a different location. So what I'm going to do right now is actually, I'm going to go into Storage, Share Folders, add a new share folder, and name this Containers. And we are going to use the file system, which is the RAID 0. And this one I'm just going to be for everyone, save. And then there we have our new thing. And I am going to hit yes. Okay. And then now we could head over to our services, Compose, settings, and we could finish this off. So Compose files we're going to leave in the data store. The data, we have to use the containers. And then everything else over here, I'm going to hit save. Apply configurations. And I'm telling you, most of my time spent is just waiting for this pending configuration. All right, there we go. We have something applied. So I'm going to go back to files, add a new thing. And I'm going to call this Flame. And we're going to describe this as dashboard. And here's our Flame, and here's our host directory that we actually have to change this information for. So what I'm going to do is actually go into my file system, go into share folders, go here, and this is the absolute path of what I need. So I'm going to copy that. So you saw me, I'm just going to copy that path. Go back into Compose, go into Files, add a new one. I should have done that before. I'm just going to paste that for a second. And call this Flame, call this dashboard, go back into my Flame Docker, copy that, paste that in, grab this. It's a little tedious, but there's better ways to do this. Paste that in there. And since the folder is called containers, I'm just going to put slash and put config slash flame slash, and then delete that because I don't need that anymore. And then I can hit save. Okay, with that being done, now I can just click on this and click up. It's going to run whatever I need, pull the data, pull the Docker, run everything in the background. And in a matter of seconds, I should be able to get my dashboard up and running. There you go, end of line. I close this up and now it's up. So it did say it's 5005. You could actually go over to, I think it's services. And it has that port right over here. I'm going to click on it, and there you go. My Flame dashboard running on my OMV7.LAN at 5005 port, and my dashboard is up and running Dockers. It's not hard to play around with this, but I do personally recommend running Open Media Vault on older hardware if it's not strong enough. Otherwise, there's a lot more other operating systems like TrueNAS or Unraid that runs a lot better and more stable versus running OMV. Now, personally, I only ran OMV on Raspberry Pi before, and even then it wasn't too stable because of the USB hard drives and stuff, but otherwise, it does work if you're only intending to use this as a Samba server or some sort of like a backup server to store files, and it gives you an easy enough web GUI to navigate around. Anyway, that was my quick view of OMV7. If you guys have any questions about this, hit me up down in the comments below, and if you guys are new to this channel, consider subscribing and also hitting that bell notification icon so you know when the next video is going to be out. And I say in my nerd cave, hack till it hurts.